Welcome back to the channel. My last video was about the policewoman Ruby Begum and how through piss poor vetting or no vetting she managed to get in the police force despite her extremist views and sympathies. Today I want to talk about Tanya Nasir because once again someone totally unqualified, totally unsuitable managed to get into another vital institution, and it all boils down to the shabby vetting process again. This time in the NHS, a vital institution important to all of us. How Tanya Nasir got to work for the NHS will shock anyone who values integrity and trust in our public services. This woman, Tanya Nasir, completely bypassed the vetting process and landed a job as a nurse, not through hard work or qualifications, but by weaving an intricate web of lies. For those of you who don't know the details, let me break it down for you. Tanya Nasir fabricated almost every aspect of her professional background to land a senior role in the NHS. We're not talking about minor exaggerations or little white lies. She lied about her qualifications, her experience, and even faked references. How did this happen? Well, it turns out that the vetting process failed spectacularly at every turn. Let's start with the first lie. Her qualifications. Nasir claimed to be a highly qualified nurse with extensive experience in areas including adult and neonatal intensive care. And it didn't stop there. She said she had dentistry and operating theatre qualifications, as well as degrees in physics, a degree in astrophysics, and a master's qualification in leadership. But somehow all these lies went undetected in the recruitment process. How does a simple background check of qualifications, which should be standard practice, fail to catch something as basic as verifying a degree from a university? Although in this respect, I must blame the universities too, because they're not very open with this kind of information. I remember I had to check someone's PhD claim from Reading University because their English was so poor, I couldn't believe they had a PhD from Reading University. Yet the university wouldn't say one way or another if the PhD certificate was genuine or fake. They just wouldn't give me that information. But going back to Nasir, apart from her qualification, then there was her work experience. She claimed to have worked for the British Army. She said she had been shot twice while deployed in Kosovo, Afghanistan and Iraq. She'd never been in the Army or the Army Reserve, and yet none of this was checked when she was recruited. During her trial, the prosecutor asked what her army number was, and she said she couldn't remember. I mean, no one who has served in the forces ever forgets their army number. She even told an interview panel she would need time off to train with her regiment on the Indian Ocean island of Diego Garcia, home to British and US military bases. And they still didn't check that. They must have been sitting there admiring her as she lied through her teeth. She said she worked with charities including the Red Cross and Oxfam, bringing aid to people in conflict zones around the world. Again, all very impressive, but in her case, it was all absolute rubbish. If you thought it can't get worse, wait for it. It does get worse. To back up her bogus qualifications, she even faked references. She provided the names of supposed senior medical professionals who could vouch for her abilities. And guess what? None of these people were real. No one checked to see if such a senior medical person is in this institution, in this hospital, in this organisation. She concocted them out of thin air and used her own address for correspondence. And she still wasn't caught out. And yet again, the system failed to verify these references. How is it that an institution as crucial as the NHS can allow someone with entirely fake credentials to slip through so easily? And the most disturbing part, she didn't stop there. Nasir also lied about her criminal background, hiding past convictions that should have raised red flags during the vetting process. This is where it becomes clear. Not only was she not qualified, but she actively posed a risk to the patients she was supposed to care for. This isn't just incompetence on her part, it's criminal. Through all these lies that went unchecked, Tanya Nasir secured nursing posts in London and in Bedfordshire, and in 2019 she was appointed to a senior role at the Princess of Wales Hospital in Bridgend. She became the neonatal ward manager, a hugely responsible and important post, leading a whole department of nurses and doctors caring for the newborn babies. She was only found out finally because a matron at the ward noticed inconsistencies about what she'd said in their interview and what she'd said on her application form. something that the recruitment services should have found out. Last week, Nasir was found guilty and sentenced to 5 years. She will serve half of her 5-year sentence in custody and the rest on licence. So how do we get here? How does someone like Tanya Nasir manage to infiltrate the NHS with lie after lie that go unchecked? It all comes down to a broken vetting process again. At every stage, the checks that should have been routine were either ignored or inadequately carried out. If just one of those steps, verifying her degree, checking her work history, or following up on her references, had been done properly, she would have been caught. But she wasn't. And that's a serious indictment of the system. Now, let's be clear, the NHS is under immense pressure. Staffing shortages, high turnover rates, and a constant influx of patients are stretching the system thin. But that's no excuse for this kind of negligence. In fact, it's in these stressful times that strong vetting process is more critical than ever. Employing unqualified people and cheaters only hampers the work of the good qualified hard-working people at the NHS. And the worst damage is probably the moral cost of this deception. The damage done to the real nurses, the ones who study hard, train and dedicate their lives to patient care, but didn't get her job because they didn't lie about their qualifications and experiences. What does it say about the system when someone can cheat their way into the same profession without any of that commitment? It's a slap in the face to every dedicated healthcare worker out there. In the end, Tanya Nasir's case is a wake-up call. The vetting system for our institutions is broken, and unless it's fixed, we'll continue to see more cases like this in all our vital organisations, be it the police, the NHS, or wherever the public's trust is crucial. Before pouring money into an organisation, you must have a proper vetting process so you recruit the right people. Otherwise, your money is wasted. That's why I keep saying recruiting more police won't solve the problem unless you recruit the right people for the job and correct the vetting process. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Shouldn't the vetting process be the most stringent part of hiring, especially in life or death fields like healthcare and the police?